Let me unmute myself there. Morning, John. How you doing?
Hey, morning, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Doing
Good.
okay. I hope you had a good week.
Yeah, we did. I actually got to play a gig last night outside.
Good.
Yeah.
Those are rare these days.
Yeah, I know. The only ones we're doing are outside, just, little parties. And we did one wedding, but everything was outside. So that was good.
Good.
But yeah, we're not doing much.
It is, yes. Gigs are few and far between this year.
Yeah.
This year. So I'm glad that someone has a gig. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, good morning, everybody else. Good morning, Axel, Eric, Robert, Christine. I like that shirt there. Come on. Rick, good to see you.
There aren't that many days when this shirt is relevant, but this song has an F flat in it.
That is true. That is true. You could wear it proudly for this time.
That's right.
Good.
Or cheap.
Good. Yes, I thought long and hard as I wrote that F flat in there. Should I make that an E?
No.
That's going to cause problems. But I thought, no, that's what it has in the thing. So I'm going to write it as it was in the thing. So.
Yeah, I was looking at that going, that's not what Steve said. That was not in the brochure.
Sorry. There you go. Well, I hope you guys had a great week and a great few days with Misty. I apologize for getting out on Wednesday. I'm going to do much better this week and try and get it out to you earlier. So we'll do the best we can on that. Thank you. I got into it and I told myself, don't create so much material, but then it's Misty and you want to do a good job with Misty. So I ended up getting a little creative on the advanced ones, and then that led to a lot of things that we had to go along. So it's even bigger than ever. So I'm trying to slim it down.
All right. It's a lot of good information.
Good. I'm glad you're learning. Yeah, it is a lot of good information, and we came across a lot of new things in this one that I was wanted to get to. So, well, good. I'm glad you all are doing well. Let's get
just a quick one.
Yes.
Could you grant recording?
I'm sorry. Say that again, Axel.
Could you grant recording?
Oh yes. I'm sorry. Yes, I can. Let me get that to everybody. I must admit, I like this smaller group. The other group is, 15, 16 people. And this, oddly enough, we have much more interaction with this group than in the other group. In the other group, it's so large, everybody just sits there and watches me. So it's like live lesson, but I can just see you all just looking at me. So it's depressing. So I would much rather talk to people. So I'm
struggling with this date.
What's that?
I said I struggled with this time slot because I'm on the West Coast, so it's 7 o'clock for me, and so it's like, well, I have to go to bed early on Friday night. It's like, well, what am I going to do anyway?
Well, you're throwing off your whole schedule. Sorry,
Yeah.
Eric.
No, it's okay. Actually, I prefer this because I'm home alone except for the cats,
Yeah.
and so I've got the house to myself right now. So it's actually it turned out to be the best thing.
Good. All right. As we get started here, again, y'all just shout out questions as you have them. We had one question that had come in about tone and about jazz tone and things like that. So let's talk about that for a second. I'm on my nylon string, so pay no attention to what I'm playing. But on a typical situation where you're playing, you basically, for jazz, you want to get the warmest, roundest tone that works for the situation. So arch tops, I see some of you, Axel's, you got a one in the background there. That's good. Eric's got a great one he's hanging on to there. So a good arch top is preferable. Those are always great. But the main thing is that you want a nice, good, warm sound Oh my goodness, Robert just whipped out something there that looks pretty. As he's Cyberman with his thing there. But yeah, and generally you want the neck pickup so that you get the warmer sound. If you need to, roll that tone back just a little bit, and that'll help roll it off a little bit. Now, you can go to the extreme and get flat wound strings if you want to. That's a little, you got to commit to jazz at that point to go flat wound strings. Flat wounds are great, but you cannot play anything else on them because there's just no high in the thing. They weren't meant for that. So if you're really interested, they're fun to experiment with. They feel very different, and they get a little bit of a different sound. But flat wound strings are something you might want to check out. As far as amps go, or we had Mark Caldwell on the Facebook page was asking about amps and pedals and things like that. Okay, well, for jazz stuff, I just generally go my guitar, maybe a tuner into the amp. Okay, so I don't really go through any pedals or anything like that. A little amp like Eric is dialing in right there. Anything?
That's not little.
Is that a 212? Yeah.
No, it's a single 12, but that's a blues deluxe reissue.
Okay. Again, yeah. You just want to keep an eye on the level of mid that you have. Typically, a standard guitar amp is meant to accentuate the mids and the high mids. So you want to just kind of be ready for that. So what I generally do if I'm trying to do a jazz thing is I will goose up the bass a little bit. I will dial down the mids a little bit and then dial in the highs as needed, as it sounds. So that's generally, and if you have a bigger speaker, that helps. So if you've got a 12 or a 14, yeah, you're going to get a nice warm sound. If you have a cabinet of 410s, okay, you're going to have a little bit of a tougher sound getting that bottom end out of it. So it's not bad. Just kind of realize the tools that you have to work with and things like that. So that's a little bit about what I do to get a kind of a jazz sound on it. And it depends on what you're going for. If you're going for a really warm, no edge to the sound, then just dial back that tone. But if you want a little bit of sparkle in that, then you gotta check your picks and add a little bit of that high back into the presence of the amp as well. Did somebody have a question? I heard somebody say.
Yeah. Do you like any reverb at all? Or
okay, I typically would like a little bit. Reverb is like cheese. You can always use a little bit. But if it's too much, it's too much. So you got to be aware. Once the part that you start noticing it, yeah, it's too much. The rule in the studio is if you can hear it, then dial it back about 10%. So if you can, if it's supposed to be something like, wow, there's some reverb there, then yeah, dial it back about 10%. You just want the space without the knowledge that you're in a room. You want the sound of the space, but without the echo of something like that. So a little bit of reverb helps. EQ is always a help, but you can generally get what you need on an amp. I found for jazz stuff. There you go. As far as picks go, I like these little jazz. These are the ones that I use. Other guys use other things. I use these little jazz Dunlop things. They got a pointy edge on them. They have some that do not have the pointy, that have the rounded edge. I don't like those. I kind of like the pointed edge ones. That just works better for me. They're thick. So it's like 1 millimeter. They don't really give very much, and they're smaller. And so I just like that for the definition, especially on jazz stuff. That helps out. Now it doesn't do too well on the nylon string, but that's all right. We'll be able to illustrate from that. But I had a guitar teacher fuss at me one time for using small picks like this, and I didn't for years. I had used them and then stopped using them when he fussed at me about it. But I got a different teacher and he fussed at me about it, and he told me to use, just regular old teardrop size picks with a little bit of give in them. And so we got, a couple years into that, and I was wondering, gosh, where is I just can't get I can't get fast. I can't play fast. Picked up one of my old jazz picks again. That's thick. I was back playing with facility again. It was like, because these just move around. Nothing wrong with them. This is great when I'm strumming, but they just move around a little bit much, and that takes a little bit of time. And so these that don't move around as much tend to be a little bit quicker for me. All right, so hey, let's talk about Misty. What a great tune. The arrangements, the chord melody arrangements that we have in there are based off of the my first guitar teacher's arrangement of that. And so I've kind of embellished a little bit but I'm honored to see that you guys are playing a little bit of Johnny Frisco's arrangement there of Misty. That makes me happy. Somewhere Johnny is smiling about that. All right, Misty, let's talk about the melody. This has such a stinking big melody. It goes from that high F flat down to a low G. You're almost 2 octaves. So it's huge. It's a huge melody. So we don't have much choice. If I play it in the as written, it just gets a little beefy down there, which may be too much. So typically, everybody plays it up. And you play it there. Now, that does get a little higher when you get to that bridge part, but not too out of range there. I wrote it in the tab again. I hope was that helpful for you guys, for me to write that in tab? Okay, just to kind of give you a little idea where things are being played for. Anybody have any questions on the melody part of things?
I just wanted to say thank you for giving it to us both with tab and without it in the real book, because what I'm trying to do is wean myself off the tab. So I'll, look at it enough to just know which positions I'm going to be in. Good. Put it away.
Good. I try to include the real book version. I don't know how many of you guys have the real book.
Actually,
okay, so most everybody but Robert has the real book at this point. Okay, I may, as the months continue, I may wean that out of taking.
Yeah, because we can get it out of the real book.
Because you could just get it out of the real book, and all I'm doing is just cutting and pasting and doing it there. But it is helpful to see the original at times. I try not to vary too much with the chords on the melody tab version of it. But there you go. So that was the melody part of it. It gets a little hard to read with the ledger lines for the bridge because you're just so far up there. So
you see,
yeah.
I have a question about section A at the end, the 6251 turnaround.
Yeah.
Which one in that section, that 2-bar section with the 6251, the one at that time would be the B flat 13. Now, my understanding what the composer is doing is he is using, in that moment, he's doing a 6251 to the 5 of the chord progression to go back to E flat.
Where are you at? Which version are you on?
I'm at your first finger, chord melody.
Okay. Okay. So let me get to there. The easy intermediate one. Okay. All right. I got you.
On the first repeat, the last 2 measures of section A, it says G minor, C7, F minor.
Right.
Okay. So what's happening I just want to know if I'm correct in my thinking. The composer's looking at this and he knows he's going back to the E flat for the verse again. So he's setting up the E flat that's about to come up with a 6-2-5-1. But in this case of this rotation of chords, the 1 in this case is actually B flat, which is the dominant, setting up going home. Is that correct? How he's thinking of that?
Well, let's think about it. I mean, that's true, but let's think of it a different way. In the song is an E flat, so we're clearly an E flat. Now, this is the first ending there is a turnaround. Man, I have got to do a lesson on turnarounds. We keep hammering it. We keep hitting this problem each week. It's just such a common thing in jazz. All right, here's the gig. The F minor ninth to the B flat 13th. Again, don't pay attention to all the ornamentation on the chord. It's an F minor to a B flat dominant, and then it's going to go back to the E flat major 7. Okay, that's a 2-5 going to a 1. That we have. Now, we back up the measure before that. We have a G minor. We have this C dominant, and then we have our 2-5 that's going to go back to the 1. The F minor to the B flat to the 1. To the E flat. Okay. It's not uncommon in jazz at all. You have a 2-5 to have a 3-6-2-5. You know, not just a 5 going to it. We can have a 2-5, not just a 2-5. We can have a 3-6-2-5. How many ways can I keep chaining to get to this one part to jump off to the 5? So, but a 3-6-2-5 would be a G minor to a C minor, because 6s are minor, to a 2 minor, the F minor, to the 5, the B flat 13th, which is eventually jumping to the E flat. So what is that C7 doing in there? Well, the C7 is kind of functioning as a 5 to the 2 that's coming. The C7 is functioning as a 5 to the 2 minor, the F minor, that is following it. Now, having said that, it's fluid. This is so jazz. Which one's right, Steve? They're all right. 3-6-2-5. Okay, so we get to da 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 da. Look at me. Okay. 3-6-2-5 with all the minors where they should be. What if I throw that C7 in there? Da, 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 da. So it didn't jag us too much. We have that E flat jagging against the E natural in the C7 flat 9, but it didn't bother us too much, you know. So that's a part of it. Hey, Lou, good to see you. What else could I do? Hey, what if I made them all dominants? What if I went a G7 to a C7, to an F7, to a B flat 7? Let's just go crazy. Look at me. Well, that worked too. Well, which one of them is right? It's a turnaround. Hey, what if I did a G minor? What if I did the C7 on top, but I put a G and the G flat on the bottom to an F minor to the B flat? So, da 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 da. Okay, what if I did, I mean, do you see what if I took out the B flat entirely and I just went maybe an E major 7th going down to, that'll resolve down to the E flat major 7th. Da, 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 da. It's a turnaround. It's this unique thing in jazz that can get infinitely complex, but it truly doesn't really matter too much what it is. If you're playing with a bunch of instruments, then yes, you have to define it a little bit more to make sure everybody's playing on the same things. But I could have just as easily, on that first ending, did a 1-6-2-5, an E flat, C minor, F minor, B flat. So it's just, if you try and analyze them too much, it's just a fluid thing. I'm not explaining that as well, but it's just, there's a million different ways that you could do them, and they're all just as equally valid.
I like the melody in there where you have D going to D flat to C to B, that in between, that little line in there.
Yeah.
that reminds me so much of the blues, like a blues turnaround that has that same feel. And as a matter of fact, on the other side of things, the band Stone Temple Pilots use that kind of thing in Plush.
Oh yeah,
The song Plush has the same thing.
yeah, yeah. And those little inner lines, which we've talked about before, are what make jazz so interesting. You know, you know.
Mhm.
Here, I do it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very, very, very good in point to know about. Okay, let's talk about the basic chords. The basic chords on page 4. Now, I had been doing on the other 2 songs, we've been kind of dealing with the same type of chord, so I just kind of wanted to throw you a different type of chord. So instead of doing this voicing, which we've done a lot of, I did this voicing, kind of an inner 4-string voicing for that, which that's a good voicing for comping in jazz, using these just inner voices rather than this full thing there, okay? So that's why I chose that. I just, for my own humor, I stopped every chord, most every chord on the 2nd string. Again, creating that little melodic line there. But you'll notice the B flat minor, well, it's written all the way down to 6, but the 1st string, but I can stop it at the 2nd. The E flat 9 instead of the E flat 7, I just threw a little color tone in there. E flat major 7th. A flat minor 9, did the same thing here for the D flat. Instead of the 7th, I made it a 9th. 3, 6, dominant, or the 5 of the 2. Now, let me also point out something. In the 2nd ending, you have an E flat to a D flat to an E flat. Okay, so what is that harmonically? Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal with that. In 30 seconds or less. You're going to see that sometimes. It's called in the biz. It's called a subtonic. Subtonic. E flat 6 going to a tonic is E flat, but now this is sub. So this is like a subdominant. This is a subtonic, and so this would be a whole step below the tonic. So you have an E flat going to a D flat, back to an E flat. Okay. Now that chord there, that D flat, he kind of functions a lot like a variation of a 4 chord. Okay, we're gonna dive deep here for a second. Okay, so if I'm in E flat, the 4 chord is an A flat. Now, a common variation of that 4 chord is the minor 4. Do you hear that minor 4? It has this bittersweet quality to it. It has this, okay? So another variation of the 4 is this subtonic. Do you see how they almost sound exactly the same? And you hear it all the time. You are so beautiful to me. Same chord. Functioning as a variation of the 4. You are so beautiful. Now the variation of the 4. That D flat 9, D flat 13th. To me. Okay, can't you see? Okay. That's a little micro explanation of what that D flat, how that is functioning right there. Cool. The bridge is a 2-5 in A flat with some ornamentation on it. the second line of the bridge, we hit that A minor. Da, 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 da. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. It kind of almost is in G there for a second. Da, 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 da. Then we're back to our turnaround. Just a nice little variation there. So, of the basic chords there, pretty much chord changes that you should be starting to get familiar with at least. How many of you guys are working on the basic chords? Parts of things. Okay. Cool. The advanced chords, I just did, we just add more color tones to it. Instead of the E flat major 7th, look at me. I added the 9th there. Instead of just jumping to that B flat minor, I worked my way down to it. You know, that was the C minor, B minor, B flat. Da, 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 da. A little moving line there. E flat 9, E flat 9. Then a little variation up here, a little inversion. Oh, here comes our 4 minor, just like we talked about. Da 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 da. Da, da. There's our handy utility knife form shape there. Remember we talked about that, I think, last time? You're going to see that chord a lot. It functions in a lot of ways. Da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum. The minor to the 13th, keeping that high G as my top melody note. Da-da-dum. Now, on the recording, they had this little variation there. Beautiful, beautiful, very jazz way of doing that. And you can vary that. All kinds of different ways, but that's it's a turnaround. How beautiful can I make the turnaround? That's the trick, that's the game. And so that's what they do on the recording there. So that would be hard to follow up. But Steve, on the original, it's G minor, and here it's G dominant and G augmented. It's flexible. This is jazz. It's gonna move. It's gonna bop around. You know, you can get really creative. Da, 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 da. You can go 100 different directions with it. But that's just what they did on the recording, so I wanted to notate that. Also on the recording, in the bridge, if you look at the page 5, the third measure of the bridge, they do this other common thing. What's the goal? Movement. Constant movement. I'm always moving, okay? Well, I don't want to stay on an A flat major 7th for 8 counts. My life is ebbing from me at this point. So at least move something around. Here I just move that 5th. I just moving it around. Just for my own entertainment. I could keep going. And then back into the next one. It's just movement. It's just movement. Throw a rare use of a money chord in a jazz song with open strings. What's odder to me is Rick, getting back to your question, what is a little more difficult for me to define is at the bottom of page 5, that bottom line, the second measure, okay? The C minor to the F, which is going to the turnaround. The C minor to the F to the turnaround. And this may have even been what you were asking. We have the 2 to the 5 going to this 5. going to the B flat. So that in that sense, they're functioning the whole turnaround as one big 5, of which that would be the 2 of that 5, the 5 of that 5, and then to this whole turner, they're functioning, they're calling that a full, like a 5 chord, which I could see that as well. That's one way to look at it. So that's the C minor and the F13. Does that, I see a puzzled look on your face, Rick. What do you think?
Well, what's interesting, the first thought I'm thinking is jazz is so, everything's so open that you can, the composer is, I think, thinking I can make a 5 sound very creatively with different harmonies, just have that tension grow. And it's amazing. I mean, I've heard and listened to a few, you know, jazz. I had a couple lessons in my life, but this class is just opening my mind to incredible possibilities of composition.
Yeah.
You know, how they're thinking about this is absolutely amazing, because you can take different chords, but the intention is setting up the one.
Yeah, the whole intention. You have 2 bars of setting up the one.
Mhm.
So instead of looking at those turnaround 2 bars as a 3-6-2-5, as we just did, we could look at those as just one big overarching 5-ish
Mhm.
thing, and then it goes from there. Now I wish I could say that every chord in jazz you're gonna be able to tell why it's there. No. There's gonna be, every now and then you're gonna pull one out of the hat and it's like, there is no way. What does that mean? Why is it there? Why does it work? I don't know. Don't go changing. What is that? This has no business being before the 4 chord. To try and leave me, whatever. Okay, we're in D, and then out of the blue, you have a B minor 6th going to a. How does a B minor 6th in any form go to a 4, lead to a 4, and yet it does beautifully, doesn't it? So you'll find those little anomalies every now and then in jazz, where you just go, well, I don't know. It's just, he just, you know, stumbled upon that chord one day and thought I'd use it in a song. So, but yeah, the harmonic possibilities are a lot. So even what the composer wrote is not gospel. It's just, he wrote it, you know, in jazz, it's like you write it on a napkin. Okay, we got the general idea. And then everybody just kind of starts to run with it. Cool? Yeah, it's fascinating if you start getting into it. It's really interesting. And then you start adding color tones in it. You start moving the bass line around. And next thing you know, you got some serious fun happening there. Like even that little turnaround at the end of bottom of page 5. Let's see. And then we're back to the one there. So,
Steve,
yes, sir.
Steve, hi, it's John. What do you call, I think you may have covered this, I don't know, in some other lessons, because I've heard the term before, but what do you call a money chord?
Okay, that's just, that's nothing fancy. That's just a term that I have coined for these certain chords that sound so great on guitar that they're the real ones that sound good. Not this E minor, but this one. That's the chord that makes you the money as a guitar player right there. That's your money chord right there. Okay, so there's a couple of them.
So it's got nothing to do with the fact that, you know, that there are a lot of open strings. That just happens to be the case on that one you played, but it's not always.
Not always the case. Doesn't really have to do with the open strings as much as it just, that's a voicing that sounds particularly great on guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the money one right there. Because I could have just as easily played an E minor here. But that doesn't carry the same punch at all as that. So, the lick of the week. Hey.
May I have a more generic question about strumming?
Yes.
You mentioned in the video that at a certain point in time that you would prefer not to hit the first string. So typically I'm would damp that string. And if I keep my wrist loose, is there a certain way that I can train to not hit the first string?
Well, as far as not hitting it, I don't know. This is what I do. All I do is what I do.
Mhm.
Okay. Why do I not want to hit the first string? Well, it's not a rule. It's just when I'm comping, the sax player's playing or the vocalist is singing, the guitar, I need to stay a little bit more in my lane. So I don't want to go, you know, look at me. It's just going to be too much, you know. So I need to be, look at me. Da, 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 da. So it's just an easy way to do that, to not get too far high. Now, what I do, you don't have to do this. Nobody taught me how to do this. I just started doing it. This is my pinky. I touch the bottom of the string. Okay, I'm not locked in one place. Look at me. There's my pinky on that first string all the time. Therefore, he doesn't ring. And I don't have to worry about it. He's always muting that string. It's just a jazz way to give some rhythm and not have to worry about that. Okay? That's just what I do. Now, if you haven't done that before, that may feel funky to you. You may do something else. That's completely cool. Other guys do other things. That's just my little trick for not doing that first string. But Steve, what happens when you need to play the first string? Well, there's this is really tough to do on a computer webcam. Okay, there's this constant rocking back and forth that I seem to be doing. So if I played a scale, let's see. Oh, did you see it? My wrist came down here and muted these strings, and my pinky came off of here. So when I'm playing, and when I'm done playing this, right there, it switches, and I'm back to, so it gives me a point of reference, a point of string reference when I'm picking. And when I need to go up there, I'm now touching these strings, which helps with muting, and that gives me now a point of reference. So is that right? Is that good technique? I don't know. Ask Howard Alden. Ask Joe Paz. I don't know. It's just how I figured out how to do it when I was a kid trying to figure out how to learn how to do this stuff. So the lick of the week. Hey, this is a good one. We're running out of time. The lick of the week. You can outline a chord, any chord, stretching it out. I can stretch out a minor chord, I can stretch out a dominant chord, I can stretch out a major seventh chord by just outlining it, taking the notes that are in that voicing and wobbling around on them. In this one, I'm taking this voicing as my bass voicing of a major seventh chord. Notes are C, E, G, B. And I start on the ninth up here. Okay, so that's kind of going around this note. And then I go, that's going around that note. That's going around that note.
Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, that was something that I had a question about. In terms of the fingering, I don't have the PDF with me, unfortunately, but there's one spot where you play two notes on adjacent strings but on the same fret. And I couldn't see from the, that was where I ran into a problem in terms of, I could play it pretty fluidly until I got to that point. And then I didn't know if you flattened your finger and played those two at once, or if you used two different fingers, or what you did. And if you could share that slowly, I'd appreciate it.
No, that's exactly the problem. I should have made a bigger deal about that. It's exactly at this point. Oh,
Right.
there it was, right there. I have to go from a third finger to a third finger. And how I do that is I get sloppy when I come back for that third finger to where I'm doing it more flat, like you had said. And then I just go. All right, now I can't do it slow now. Now you got me thinking about it.
So, okay, so then you do play the two notes with one finger.
With one finger, yeah. And
Right.
I'm kind of rolling from one to the other.
Okay.
Awkward.
Yeah.
It is awkward. So
Yeah.
you don't have to do the full lick. A lot of times you just do the first half of it, and it gets you the same thing. I can't even do it slow. I didn't even get to that problem yet. I just did the first three.
Right.
I mean, I can just keep going, but understand the concept of what's going on. All I'm doing is just going above the note, below the note, to the note. I could keep going. I could just keep going if I wanted to. But that little lick, that's a handy little lick that falls generally pretty good on guitar. It sounds relatively fast when you put the pull-offs and hammer-ons to it. It's a little bit harder to do on a nylon string. So when I play it in E flat, it's going to be really difficult to play here. Look at me. I'm as helpless as a kitten up a tree. Da 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 da. Let's see. Use our lick from last week in there.
I used that lick last night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last night on we do we do a Texas swing number, and that's the only jazz, vaguely jazz thing we do. But I used that lick, and everybody looked at me and went, "Where did that come from?"
Hey, there you go. So, and if you made some money on it, then it would become a money lick for you.
I did make money on it. I did make money.
Good. So that's a great lick. So learn that. Get that underneath your fingers. Now it doesn't lend itself too easily to other string sets. You end up with a lot of those problems of adjacent string problem. You see, it really clunks up there. So you can try it in some other things. The concept will be the same, just the fingering gets a little awkward for that. That's a great lick. Hey, just for fun, let me show you this. Okay, look at the chords for a second. I don't care which ones. You can look at the original. I don't care. Okay, look at me. E flat major 7th. I could throw my lick in there. I'm as hell. Okay, that's a B flat minor. B flat minor. What was that thing that Steve said about the super arpeggio? So a minor, if I go up a minor third from that, that would get me to a D flat major over a B flat minor. Do you see what I did there? Do you see the harmonic jump I just made there? B flat minor over a B flat minor, I could play a D flat major 7. So wait a minute. So that means I could use my lick again. Look at me. I'm as hell. Bliss as a kitten up a tree. Oh, wait a minute. An A flat minor. Well, that means I could, if I go up a minor third from that, I could use it over a B. Da 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 da. So you can use these little licks in multiple spots with just a nickel's worth of theory, throwing them around, you know. So I just wanted to show you guys how that works. Even on the bridge. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. You see, I could throw it in all kinds of different places, and it will mostly work. Okay. The chord melody stuff in our last couple of minutes here together. How did you like the chord melody arrangements? We've got the easy, kind of more intermediate one that I put with triads, but I got a little creative with that. Just because you have triads doesn't mean that I have to stick with just a minor 7th. Like in that first ending. Some really creative chords going through there, but still only using 3 strings. Rootless voicings and all. Anybody have any questions on the chord melody arrangements? Yeah, Christine.
When you're doing the parallel sixths on non-adjacent strings, and you're holding the pick,
Yeah.
What are you doing to get those parallel sixths?
You have to do a little bit of the hybrid picking problem. Okay, so I've got my pick is between thumb and first, and then I don't know, what do I do? I probably do it with my middle.
So middle and fourth? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's more comfortable to me than doing it with my ring finger, which you could do as well, but it's just a little bit easier for me to do that. So you have to do some sort of hybrid picking in order to make that work, because you just can't go.
Right.
There's just no way to do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And you're able to use your middle finger even while you're holding the pick.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little, if you're not familiar with that technique, you got to piddle with it a little bit to kind of get the feel of it. But once you do, you're very useful. Use it all the time. I tell you one guy that I sent out the email. Y'all should have all gotten it last week last night for signing up for next month. One of the videos of the songs that we're going to do is whatever the last one was. I don't even have it written down. Take the A Train. And I found a video of Scotty Anderson. You can look at it. You've got the link. We just go down to where it says Take the A Train, click the link. Dang, Scotty Anderson. Who is this guy? I don't know. He's like a, I don't know if he's in Nashville. He's obviously got some country twang and stuff. I don't know if he's still alive. I don't know.
He's in Cincinnati, and he plays around Cincinnati. He doesn't really travel.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Stunning.
He likes to stay around home. He's sort of like Danny Gatton. He didn't really want to be on the road.
Yeah. Wow. I'm just now getting familiar with him, and he is amazing. So talk about, like, he was doing octave stuff, and I thought, oh gosh, what is? He was like Christine, what you were saying about he couldn't do that because that took too long. He was doing it so fast, so he was doing it muting the inner string on all those.
Yeah.
And watch that video. The more you watch of it, he starts letting loose at the end. Yeah, it is a fun exercise in making you realize that there are some people that are really, really know how to play, and the rest of us are just faking it. Like Phil Kagi. Phil Kagi's another one. It's Phil Kagi. He is amazing. Okay, so that was the intermediate chord melody. The advanced chord, well, here's one thing I wanted to mention. On the bridge part of the intermediate chord melody, okay, I got a little creative there. Still just doing 2 notes or 3 notes. Okay, so all that is a triad, but again, we like movement. Jazz likes movement, little interline movement. So this time I'm taking the root, which is the B flat, and I'm just moving him down. It's a very common thing to do on any sort of minor chord. A very common little line on any sort of minor chord. So here I just buried it in the middle. You got to work your fingerings around to make that happen. And then I thought, well, maybe I could do it again. That A flat 7 has nothing to do with any chord around it. It just resolved the line that I like. And then I thought, well, I'd been doing them down. Maybe I could do it up. I'm just playing. Some things will work, some things won't. And so that one turned out better than I was anticipating it to do. It depends on the voicing and stuff like that. But anyway, so that's a little bit of fun that happened there. The advanced chord melody stuff, yeah, hang on to your hats, kids. I spent a little bit too long getting this one done. Adding that flat 9. That flat 9 always gives you that tug, always gives you that pull down to whatever you're going for. I added the 9th in the major 7th just to give it a little bit more color. There's no reason in the world that E flat 7 should make sense there, but it works. No reason in the world an E flat 7 should go to a B flat minor. I don't know. It works. There's our utility chord. There's our utility chord. Big wide stretch there. Sorry about that. Here I'm going between the G, the C, the F, and the B flat. But just for some movement, I approached each chord by a half step above where it was going. Okay, there's no rhyme or reason to that. It's just a half step above whatever target chord I'm going to. Ooh, Steve, what kind of big bass line are you thinking there? What is that? Some sort of a harmonic minor? No, I'm going a half step above each chord, and it works. You know, what if I approached it from underneath? Sounds a little more awkward doing it that way. So that's all that bass line is, okay? And some color tones in there. We get through that. We get to the top of page 12. Hey, learn that lick. You can throw that lick in a million different places. I think I learned that from Tom Bresh, off a Tom Bresh video from way back when. Anytime you're on a 1 and you need some, and you've got time and you want to create some movement, you can throw that on them. Gets to be a wide stretch, but it's a fun little variation. This is the top of page 12, the first measure there. Okay, don't worry about all the complicated chord names for all that sort of stuff. Just look at the fingering. That's a great little lick that you can use in 1,000 different ways. Okay, the bridge, I do the same old descending line. Just did this an octave. This is just kind of a mini resolution right there. Again, just keeping some movement there. I could just have easily done a B flat minor 7th, E flat 7, A flat 7. Going up. Again, don't pay attention to the crazy chord names for that. It's just a line. Really colorful chords there. And then I love this. That's sharp 5. It's a good way to extend out a resolution. By just adding that sharp 5 to the chord. Our utility chord. Hey, why just play the arpeggio when I could do it in thirds? Our utility chord again. Here's our lick again. Hey, instead of just resolving it, let's extend that out even more. An E major 7th to go, that eventually lands on the E flat. Again,
Misty?
just pulling it, yeah.
You keep talking about the utility chord, and I forget what that was. And so is that the?
That's that D flat 13th. If you look at page 13, the middle line, the
Okay.
first measure, that D flat 13, that's a shape you'll notice you'll use a lot of time. Hey, look at the line above it. The second measure, the G augmented, same shape.
Okay.
It's just a really useful shape in jazz that you can use a lot. Cool.
Okay.
Any last questions before I got to run here in a minute and a half?
Just thank you for doing this arrangement. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's going to take me a long time to get it, but it is so worth on.
Good. It took me a long time to write it out, so I'm glad you're learning.
It was worth it.
Is there not a 9 chord you don't like?
A 9th chord? No, 9ths are great. 13ths are better. 7th chords, how boring. Triads, might as well join a bluegrass band if you're going to play triads.
Hey,
Oh,
careful with
Hey.
or a worship team.
That's fighting words.
That's right. Now that I'm having fun. In jazz land, it's all about the color tones. In other types of playing, I wouldn't dare play that. Robert, you mentioned the church music team. Yeah, I remember getting on our church music team as a jazz player. I didn't have a clue what to do. None of my chords worked. And eventually figured it all out, what voicings to use. But yeah, that you have to be appropriate to the style that you're in for whatever musical situation you find yourself in. So interesting. All right, well, I appreciate you guys so much. I hope you all have learned a bunch. I'm working on, what's this week? Satin Doll. So I'm working on Satin Doll for you this week. And it'd be great. And if you want to sign up for next month, now's the chance to do that. We're going to start kind of promoting that to the wider group here in a day or so.
The wider group. It's always about my weight.
No. Our larger 13,000 member guitar family that we have. I want to give you guys the first shot.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort you've gone through here, and I'm way behind the curve, but trying to catch up, and it's been great. It's been a great time.
Good. Well, don't worry about the stuff that may be kind of beyond you at the temporary time. Don't get frustrated with that. Just grab what you can. and then go on. Grab what you can. All right, we'll see you guys. Appreciate y'all. If you have any questions, give me a buzz. Let me know.
Thanks,
If you need to
Steve.
send me in a video, send me in a video.
Have a great weekend, my friend.
All right, y'all too. We'll see you. Take care.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, kids.